Everybody, welcome to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John, that is Lacey, and we are here to talk to you about idiots. Because our main discussion today...
I didn't know we were talking about me.
Hey! The self-deprecation never runs dry on this podcast. Welcome, everybody. We are going to talk about whether or not the Empire just employed too many idiots, which aided their downfall. So we'll get to that later. It's going to be a fun roast of the bad guys. But thank you so much for joining us. If you are joining us live, we are doing Ask the Resistance later in the show. So if you have a Star Wars question that you would like us to chat about, pop it in the chat. Use the hashtag so we know it's not just a normal question. I want it on the show. I'm not asking you what you had for dinner. I want to know, is Chewie made from mohair? Something like that. But also, because we're going to be talking about the biggest idiots in the Empire, when we start our discussion later, we want you to pop in the chat. Not yet, because we want, we like you being a part of the discussion. It triggers thoughts for us. We want you to put who you think the biggest idiot in the Empire is, and we'll do that later. But we have some fun stuff to get to. But first, I have to say hello to Lacey. How are we doing?
Good. How are you? I am excited to chat about Star Wars and just have a silly, fun conversation about this franchise that we love. I think sometimes we discuss the news and trending topics and things can get, a little serious. But tonight, that is the furthest thing than what we're doing. We literally said, let's have a fun one tonight. And we're coming off of a really awesome conversation with our friends at Children of the Watch. We were on their pod, came out today, talking about Return of the Jedi, which is my favorite of the original trilogy. Just discussing what we love about it, nostalgic memory stuff. And answering some voicemails or reacting to them. And it's just always a good time with those guys. So if you haven't already, definitely go check it out and let us know what you think.
I agree. Just to second that, go follow, subscribe, Children of the Watch. They are of the best out there, and great guys too. Alex and Mac are awesome. So we had so much fun. Completely agree. So yeah, listen to that on their feed. It was definitely a fun chat, and hopefully we can continue the fun back in the base here. We do plan on having those boys back. We'll keep you posted on that on our show, because it was a great time when they were here on Acco Night when we were talking about the Acolyte. I think it was episode 4, something like that.
Yeah, not big favorites, but it was my favorite episode. We went so wild with the theories. We went, as we said, bananas numerous times.
Yeah.
It was so fun, and it honestly was one of the highlights for me of the kind of Acolyte experience that we had, reviewing it, talking about it, speculating was with them, because they just come in with like such crazy theories that like I don't even consider.
And now for anyone who is interested, super chats are available if you'd like your comment read on the show. And of course, if you use that for a question, we'll make sure that that's one of the first read for Ask the Resistance. And we appreciate the support, so thank you. But beyond that, it is time to get down to business, Lacey. So we have, unless did I miss anything?
I don't think so. Nope.
All right, let's get down to business, because they're all subscribed. They're all following us. They're all reviewing us and liking us and all that stuff. And they know about the Patreon, patreon.com/TRB podcast, to support what we do here. You can do that for just $5 to start. But yeah, let's get into the show. We have our first segment, and it's back, and it's called One with the Force.
The Force is with me, and I'm one with the Force.
Are you doing this one? Who talks first? You talk first? I talk first?
I think you're going to talk first.
Okay, cool. I will definitely do it. So, one with the oh my God. One with the Force. The first. One with the Force. It is a very fun segment that we do once in a while. The idea is that we kind of get pitched a situation and we have to give one answer. We can't give top threes. We can't give, oh, I'm stuck between. You got to pick one. Be very decisive, which is hard sometimes for me, at least. I don't know about you, John. It's hard for me sometimes to pick one thing in Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, kicking it off, we're going to start with you lost a bet. This sounds pretty much like my life. You lost a bet, and have to get a tattoo of a line from Star Wars on your arm. The catch is the line has to be from your least favorite Star Wars movie or show. What is the movie and what is the line that will be on your body? And you put this in caps, forever. Forever. John, I'm gonna let you answer first. Do you have something off the top of your head there, or something that you put a lot of thought into?
Yeah, sort of. I cheated a little bit, but so I think, and don't come at me, guys. We're all having fun here. I think my least favorite Star Wars is the Clone Wars.
Oh,
And
like the animated movie?
the show, because I put show or
Yeah. Okay, I was just trying to understand if you were talking like the time frame or the show. Okay.
Yeah, and I was trying to look up some of the quotes because I couldn't really pull that many, but I did find this one from the Clone Wars, and it's strength in character can defeat strength in numbers, and I think that is a really powerful quote. So the idea of this question is taking positivity from even your least favorite Star Wars. So Clone Wars is my least favorite, but I could still find something. If I were to get a tattoo, I would get it tattooed on my body.
That is a throwback right there.
That is an
You know,
TRB throwback for a few people who might remember. Yeah.
I think that's Nyx's favorite TRB moment of all time. She always brings it up. I have a folder on my computer of like silly moments that we've done over the years that just, I don't know, are just weird, hilarious things. And that is in that folder. And I come across it every once in a while when I'm clicking through them and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. If you got it, you got it. If you didn't, that's okay. We're moving on. So I know this is one with the Force, and some people in the chat are saying, Lacey, how did you not say situation like you normally say it? This isn't resistance transmissions. So don't hold me to standards that don't exist for one with the Force. I know this is one with the Force, but I am going to give a runner-up. So the runner-up I was going to give is a series, and it is The Acolyte. And the quote I was going to use was from The Stranger, which was, I've accepted my darkness. And I thought that was kind of a really cool quote. I remember it stuck out to me when he said it. I thought it would be really cool to get like the helmet with it maybe around it or something. Accepting that, nobody's perfect. You've accepted the bad parts of yourself and kind of worked through it. Like, I liked that. I decided I didn't want to go with that. I wanted to go something a little bit more positive and optimistic.
All right.
So I'm going to go with my least favorite Star Wars movie. Could you guess what it is?
It is, without question, Revenge of the Sith.
No.
Oh.
It's Attack of the Clones.
Oh, that was gonna be my
Come
second. That's my least favorite too.
I know. It's something we agree on.
I thought the darkness of Revenge of the Sith.
I chose the quote from Yoda, and I want to make sure I say it correctly, because it's impossible to see the future is. The reason I would get this quote is because and this is about to get like real serious and personal, but welcome to the show. I am someone that my entire life has very much suffered from anxiety and a lot of the kind of what ifs in life of like, what's going to happen? What if this doesn't happen? What if I fail? What's going to go on? Like all those types of things. And it's something I've always struggled with, but I've gotten better over the years. And I felt that this quote, even though it's part of the worst Star Wars movie for me, I thought it was super insightful to where I am currently in life, in my acceptance of things are just going to happen the way they happen, and you can't control that, and you can't see what's going to happen. It's just having courage to move forward, faith that things will work out, and the idea that things are going to be okay, and to live in the moment. Oftentimes I'm constantly like Luke Skywalkering it and looking to the horizon of like, what's the next step for me, or like what's going to come next. And I'm not enjoying where I'm at now. I think Lacey of 3-4 years ago would be ecstatic to know where I'm at now currently in life and professionally, with the podcast, with this community, everything that I've accomplished. I'd be so proud of it. And then sometimes when I'm in the moment now, I'm like, okay, what's next? and I'm not really living in the moment. So that's the tattoo I would get, so that I would remind myself, like, be happy with it where you are and be okay with not knowing what's coming.
Where would you get it? On like your arm?
You said arm in the question.
Did I put a body part?
You did. You said you have to get a tattoo of a line on your arm. So I
I
would
should have left it
put down
ambiguous.
here or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, something
Alright.
hip. I don't have any tattoos, so I don't really know like what's painful. And I think this is painful because it's on a bone. So maybe I wouldn't do that. But I feel like I don't know if I'd get on like my arm like a mom tattoo. I don't know if I'd do that.
I don't think if I'd ever
I'm
get
not a
tattoo.
sailor. Oh my god. Sailor. So I wouldn't get that.
Yeah. Ultimately, at this point, I don't know if I'd get a tattoo, but
I know. It's just kind of
difficult to see the future is.
yes. Impossible to see the future is. All right, next question. This is a good one, John. This is a real tough one, and I'm interested to see where you're going with it.
I wrote it for you.
I know you did.
Yep.
Because this is like my Spider-Man now choose moment.
Right.
Up on the bridge, Green Goblin has the cable car and Mary Jane, and you're going now choose, and you're dropping both, and you're saying which one do you want. That's what I got from this question.
Yeah.
So the question was, Disney CEO Bob Iger, aka friend of John Hoey that walked by him once at a premiere, has been beaten to a pulp by the enthusiasm and energy of the Resistance broadcast and has agreed to let one of the following things happen. Bob calls us up, says, "Yo, what up? I'm here to make a deal. Howie Mandel style. A, Solo 2. B, Adam Driver comes back and somehow Ben Solo returns in a post The Rise of Skywalker movie. Or C, the Resistance broadcast gets an on-screen cameo in the next Star Wars movie.
Ooh.
Now choose." John, you're going to go first.
Solo 2. I don't need to be in Star Wars. Star Wars is real and it took place a long time ago. I don't need to be in it. And the Adam Driver thing would be interesting, but it's no comparison to how happy I would be to see Alden Ehrenreich and Jonas back in a Solo 2, which was what they were supposed to do anyway. So I'm going Solo 2 to no surprise, I'm sure. But how about you? What are you going with here?
This is tough. I would probably go.
She's picking right now in this moment.
Well, because my mind's going back and forth between choices. I'm gonna pick A. I think I would want a Solo 2. I think we've been dedicated to it. I think we've stuck by it. I love that movie. I love Jonas. I want to see him in the Chewbacca outfit again, especially after what they did to my poor boy for Kelnaka. I need him back as Chewbacca. And I just think there's more there. And I would assume if good old Bob isn't asking us what we should do next, we're going to go to the premiere anyway. We'll be there.
Well, yeah, we'll be there.
We'll be there. And I just think that would just overall be better for the community than B, Adam Driver. I don't think he would do it. Plus, I think like his story's been told and it just gets a little muddy when we've been using that word a lot lately, but like it's true. It would get a little weird to bring him back. Like, I don't know how they do that. And C, it just feels so self-centered to be like, forget everything else that would benefit all other Star Wars fans. This is about me. Like, that's not who we are. That's not who I am as a person. So while, yes, would it be cool to be in Star Wars? Sure. But the idea that they're giving me two other offers that would benefit other people and other like in the fandom and lives and livelihood, and especially with how crazy life gets now. I just got done talking about how crazy it gets, and like we just need a little fun and optimism in the fandom. I think that Solo would do that. I think it would really catch people off guard that it would actually come true, and it's one of those fun movies that nobody would take too seriously. So I'm going to say A, and I want to stand by that. The entire time I was stuck between A and B because B is like another story that could be told. but it was never kind of the self-centered, like, put me in front of the camera, coach.
No,
'Cause
yeah,
I would just hate myself if I chose that, because then I'm like, okay, I turned down all these people having jobs and like getting back in front of the camera and like
yeah,
their livelihood for my 10 seconds.
I'd rather visit a Star Wars set than be in Star Wars because the moment I'm in Star Wars, then I feel like it shatters that mystique in a weird way. Maybe not, but you know, I just don't need to be. No one needs to see me. We don't need to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it wouldn't add anything because it's a cameo. So what is it really going to be? It's not going to be a part in the movie. I'm not going to be playing a character.
Right.
So I'd be a background person, and it's like no one cares about that. People care about more stories. And again, like the idea that you would, if you were to get another Solo 2 and potentially Solo 3 if it went well, you would be giving so many people work and jobs and livelihood and create like just making their dreams come true that I could never ever take that away for 10 seconds for myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's just not who I am.
Yeah,
But it's a great question. It was super like
it's a tough one.
I get why it's tricky, but for me it was not that hard of a choice.
All right. Very
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. I didn't mean to make that like a very exaggerated answer.
No,
But
not at all.
yeah, that's what it is.
Before we that we'll save that for the discussion, I guess, the super chat.
Sure.
Are you ready to discuss?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I thought your sentence was still going. Yes, I am so excited to discuss this next discussion.
All right, let's fire it up.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, did the Empire have too many idiots? So the Empire fell, and while many point to the arrogance of Palpatine and the turn of Vader, from an organizational standpoint, they are as clumsy as they are stupid. The
Mm.
Empire had a lot of morons in high leverage positions. So let's poke some fun at the failure of the Empire through the idea that they simply brought in too many idiots. And let's chat it out. So at this point, if you are joining us live, definitely dunk in the chat with who you think the biggest idiot in the Empire ever was. And, we'll see if we chat about him. But to start things off, I know we do have a super chat related to this topic. So let's get after it.
All right, so we have Armin Rojas. What up, man? He said the Stormtroopers recruiting team are the dumbest ones for me. No aim tests.
That's a good call.
It's true, but and this might be me being dumb. You have the clone troopers, but are stormtroopers just now everybody? The
Yeah,
ones
so
we
they're
had
like hired people, and
right,
like in the
because the
Bad
clone
Batch, they
troopers were done, and then you got it.
yeah, they show shades of that in the Bad Batch where they're showing stormtroopers show up and they're not clones, and it's
Yeah,
the clones are looked at differently,
right.
and
It gets a little confusing with all this clone stuff.
yeah, a lot of cloning. But thank
But
you,
man,
Armin.
but that scene in the detention, floor with Leia, Luke, Han, Chewie, where they're, like, falling through the door, so ridiculous. But yeah, they're terrible at aiming. Thanks for the
Yeah,
super chat. We
yeah,
appreciate it.
thank you, Armin. Yeah, and yeah, stormtroopers are idiots also. It's and they're designed that way, I guess, out of the gate from George Lucas is to make like the throwaway versions of the villains to be the folly to our heroes. And,
Mhm.
Obi-Wan tapping them through the force and them being like, what's that? I don't know. And then like they're looking for these droids, but they get to a locked door and they're like, it's locked. Let's move on to the next one. It's like, don't you think they might be in that locked door, man? We just saw you earlier in the movie melt a door and enter it. You idiot.
It reminds me of Austin Powers where they're like, "Okay, we're gonna put them in this room and shut the door," and Scott's like, "Why don't we just shoot them?"
Yeah,
Why don't He's like,
exactly.
"No, no, we're gonna put them on this lowering platform."
I I think stormtroopers are dumb in general, so we can like put a big just sweeping blanket over them.
Yeah.
Because and there's plenty of other dumb stormtrooper moments throughout the saga.
Yeah.
Um, but then I start like thinking about different versions of being an idiot. And like Admiral Mahdi talking back to Darth Vader, I'm like, that guy's an idiot. Like, why would you do that? Don't threaten us with your sorcerer's ways. Like, dude, you are a moron. Shut up. But then, like, the bigger boss there, Tarkin, he's an idiot too.
Yeah.
Like he kept making choices based on his arrogance, which led to his idiocy. So that's where I'm at with him. But let's go on. Like thinking of other moments throughout the saga, or whether it's original trilogy or prequel trilogy. I mean, we're sticking with the Empire, so you can do like tail end of the prequel trilogy if you want. But really, we're looking at original trilogy into like the Mandoverse time frame. Anything in there? Rebels is there, and Rebels is good too because it's a kid show, so you see the idiots in the Empire being even more cartoony, which increases the level of stupidity. But do you have any moments or characters from the Empire that come to mind as a big time idiot?
Well, Tom brought up one that I was thinking of in the chat, which is the dude that didn't shoot the escape pod would have ended the original trilogy. The guy's like,
Oh,
"Oh, there's nothing on there. Just let it go."
what a dummy.
It was so stupid.
Hold your fire. There are no life forms aboard. Like, you don't have bullets. It's little lasers. Like, you don't.
Hold your fire. I would say probably the thing that stuck out to me was kind of the rich, fat generals and governors in Andor, where they're at that board and they're like, none of this matters. They can't do anything. And like Cassian Andor single-handedly taking everything apart and breaking out of their prisons and like all this other stuff. And the prison guards that are dumb, that don't realize like what's going on. It's just, typical bad guy stuff. It's like they're so stuck in their own kind of narcissistic, like I'm right, you're wrong, that they avoid the obvious.
Yeah. I mean, you could point to characters in Andor for sure. Like Cyril Karn, I think, is more of a wimp than an idiot, but he's definitely stupid. But like three big ones that come to mind, like The Empire Strikes Back, they're like, we're going full idiot with the Empire. And like the first one out
you
of the gate,
never go full idiot.
Right. So Admiral Ozzel, his fatal error, flying too close to the Hoth system, so the rebels were tipped off. And General Veers at the same time doubling down on that moment as an idiot because he goes to Vader and he starts defending Ozzel in front of Vader. He's like, well, he thought surprise was wiser. It's like, dude, shut up. What are you doing talking to Vader like that? And then you have Piet, who's like, I shall assume full responsibility. I will tell Darth Vader myself. Just like, gets choked out and killed. And then, all these guys. No, that's Captain Nita. And then Piet later. It's just like one after another. And it just it adds to the almost humor of the franchise. Because if you take Star Wars and make it a drama, it's a very like serious story because you have this like tight band of rebels. They're fighting for freedom. And, you could easily make that story a drama. It's been done plenty of times. But when it's Star Wars and it's this fantastical, fun adventure, then you could twist that stuff and have some fun with it. And that's where it gets good. And I think that's part of what makes Empire so good is how Han Solo himself was able to evade the Empire because these guys were just not qualified to do what they're supposed to do. And they all kept messing up. And it's like we see that in the corporate world today where it's like somehow the wrong people get promoted to certain positions. They're not able to do those positions. And then everything goes to crap. And it's like that's sort
middle
of
management.
That what the Empire was. It got too big, too fast. Probably not too many checks and balances. Palpatine's only focus was about himself and his supremacy. He's not asking like, how's the training going on the fields of Lank? He's just like, are my other bodies ready yet? Are they ready? Are they ready for me? So Empire is a big one for sure with big time idiots.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of outside the obvious because like naturally my mind goes to the sequel trilogy because we just kind of went through that and there's so many moments there with like Hux and all these other people Richard E. Grant's character. There's a bunch of characters there that you're just like, how did you not see what was going on, or why did you make this choice?
Mm-hmm.
Empire wise, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Vader's a little dumb to put all this trust into bounty hunters to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he can't trust his own staff, so he has to go to, like, this ragtag crew of, like, people falling apart and, like, a lizard man, and, like, he's like, "These are the guys that are gonna get the job done." I mean,
Right.
one does, but not the rest. Like, you think
Right.
that all those people, you'd have multiple of them chasing Han Solo, but one is the only one that actually follows through. But that just shows also how incompetent some of the Empire is, that he has to outsource to a third-party vendor to go get Han Solo. Like, what
Well,
is happening?
yes, and now you got me thinking about, like, yeah, that moment for sure, but then also other moments where the Empire should have easily dominated, like on Endor,
Yeah.
sort of like the John Henry story of, nature versus machine in a sense, the Ewoks
Mhm.
defeating all these big mechanisms and armored troopers with tree logs and traps and stuff like that. Very reminiscent of, history of the Vietnam War, of course. But that whole end of Return of the Jedi, but you got to point at the Death Stars too. Now, they fixed it sort of with Galen Erso saying, I purposely put the trap in, and that's, they're not going to see it coming and
Mhm.
stuff like that. But it's like, why? Why wouldn't they see that coming? Is no one checking the work? Is no one like, where does that 6-foot wide hole go? And they're like, right to the reactor core, direct shot, no
Mhm.
pipes in the way, no wiring. You could drop a nickel and hit it. And they're like, okay, we're good. Let's do it. And then that blows up. And then like the second Death Star, I know it was a bit of a chaotic chase, but let's just say, I mean, the Millennium Falcon it's one of those ships where you're like, oh man, I don't want to park this thing in a tight parking lot. It's wide. It doesn't turn
Yeah.
the best when I'm going slow. It fit really nicely in the pathways of that second Death Star. It lost its satellite dish while it was being chased, sure, but you got X-wings flying in there, you got TIE fighters flying in there, you got the Millennium Falcon, all right down the highway, right to the center core of that thing. Make it impossible to get to via ship, maybe, because your other one blew up.
They're like, "Again?"
It's what like we got. I'm not trying to take away credits from the rebellion
We're just
because
poking fun here.
because they did the job and they saved the galaxy. But boy, did the Empire help them out a lot.
Yeah, I mean, they made a lot of mistakes, but they needed to make the mistakes to make the story move forward. But yeah, it's just I can't get over how many of their commanders, admirals, like higher ranked
Yeah,
management team is just completely incompetent of finding like this group of 3 people.
right. That's what I mean. Like I feel like they had a harder time, even though they still got out of it. I think they had the hardest time with the Jabba situation than they ever really had with the Empire as a collective. And
That's
so,
because Jabba plays dirty and these guys have processes and like procedures that they have to follow.
yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
But they're still dirtbags and they're still bad guys.
Yeah, they are.
Um, but they keep, and the beauty of these stories too is like, also with like Indiana Jones evading the Nazis and how stupid the Nazis look in Indiana Jones, and like George Lucas loves making sure that his bad guys look stupid, and
Mhm.
that's a part of what the charm is for these movies. In terms of Star Wars and trying to navigate that, we do have to point the finger at my boy Palpatine too, because he's the boss. Is Palpatine an idiot?
No. I think he's the only one that's not an idiot because he's had this plan for so long and he's played everything to a fine point of puppet master. Like the
Yeah.
moves he makes throughout the trilogies is I'm going to be in power. I'm going to play the long game here and I'm going to eventually be where I want to be. oh, you're going to try to attack me? I'm going to play poor old man, and then I'm going to get you killed, and then I'm going to take over everything. Like,
Yeah.
he's playing chess, you know? I don't think it's him being an idiot. Do I think Dooku's kind of an idiot? A little bit. A little bit. He makes some stupid moves that you're like, no, don't do that.
I wouldn't say Palpatine's an idiot either. But I feel like because of how he built the Empire, he left himself like almost forced to have a lot of incapability around him, because it just became such a big thing to the point where he couldn't control it, like I was saying before. And then like anytime you see like a business get too big, sometimes it loses its charm, or it loses, its focus or something
You
like
get
that.
sloppy. Honestly,
Yeah.
you cut corners and get sloppy because you get so big that you're not focusing on every little detail. You're just trying to get through or continue to grow. So you skip steps. Frank brings up a good one about the two stormtroopers who gave up looking for 3PO and R2 when they were locked in a door in Mos Eisley. Yeah, they were just like, oh, they're not here.
Oh, so I said that, I brought that up before.
Yeah.
The officers on Endor getting fooled in the bunker. That's another one. It's like, oh, we're all clear. Come on outside. And they're like, all right. They kept walking out.
I do think it's wild that Chewbacca and the Ewoks were able to just kind of open the lid and throw the guys out. Like, you didn't bother to lock the lid of the...
True. Yeah.
Was that an AT-AT or an ATST?
ATST, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
They... Like, that to me is crazy. Because you don't drive a car with the door unlocked that anybody can just drive up and open the door. But I guess this is a little different because it's like a tank.
I just thought of another idiot. The stormtrooper who was assigned to watch that room in A New Hope where R2 and 3PO were, and Han goes, lock the door, and Luke goes, and hope they don't have blasters, or vice versa. And then C-3PO is like, come on, R2, let's go. And they go right up to the stormtrooper, and he goes, all of this got got the circuits in my counterpart fired up or singed or whatever. I'd like to take him down to maintenance. And the stormtrooper just goes, all right.
Yeah, I don't get paid enough.
And I'm pretty sure they're all like, there's this company-wide memo saying we're looking for 2 droids. One of them has battle plans on it. This stormtrooper is just standing there. Maybe he's at the end of his shift and he didn't want to deal with the paperwork. I don't know. But
yeah,
they come up to him and he's like, 2 droids, match the description. And they're like, we'd like to go down to maintenance if that's okay. And he's like, all right.
Sure.
Or the hey down there, guys. Hey down there. Can you give us a hand with this?
Oh, yeah.
Then those 2 guys go up there. TK421. That guy's not coming home for dinner. He is not making it home for dinner.
He is not. And they took his clothes.
It took us so somewhere. Yeah, what did they do with their bodies?
I think they probably hid them in the smuggling.
So there's naked stormtroopers in like the...
I never thought about that. So they just like literally took bodies with them, and then eventually were like, I guess we'll just throw these into space or something.
Unless while all the other chaos that they got into, they went aboard a bit more and looked around. They're like, we just found these 2 dead guys.
I don't think so, because they didn't know that they were dressed as stormtroopers.
True.
They just knew that they weren't on the ship. I think they literally undressed them and put the naked bodies or underwear bodies in the smuggling things that Rey and Finn hide in sequel trilogy. And then they were like, well, see you guys later. And then they go, and then they come back and they're like, what's that smell? Oh, wait, we have dead bodies in our ship.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Another Tarkin moment that's pretty dumb. It seems like Tarkin was one of those like know-it-all guys, but a lot of times the things he said wound up being wrong. Like with Kenobi, he's like, oh, surely he must be dead. And it's like, nope, he's alive, and he's literally here right now. Tarkin, you big boss. The one guy who wasn't dumb was, I think his name was Tag, and he was the one arguing with Admiral Mahdi, who was like, this is now the greatest superpower in the universe. And Tag's like, what if they find a weakness and exploit it? And everyone's like, shut up. You don't know what
Shut
you're
up,
talking
Dad,
about.
you idiot.
We're the Empire. You're the idiot. And he's like,
Well,
oh
that's
my
kind of what
God.
we were seeing in Andor is like the one person that would be like, but what if? And they're like, Deborah.
Deborah.
It always is that, right? Every movie, every TV show, there's always one person that is trying to like be the viewer and say like,
Voice of
hey, but what
reason.
if? Yeah. And everyone's like, no way. But I think time and time again, it comes down to we're joking that they're idiots. We don't actually think that they're complete idiots. We're joking that they're overlooking things oftentimes because of their
Oh.
own. I think so. I think they're overconfident and I think they're, too much in their own ego, which we get a lot of in Andor. They really dig into that. But I think we see that a lot in Rogue One and in the original trilogy of like the bad guys have been in power for a good chunk of time, so they think that nothing can touch me now. Makes me think of clip. This is something me and my best friend always say to each other, and it's probably super messed up, but we find it so funny. It's from Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, and it's at the very beginning of the movie when it's the two kids and they get super high, and the one kid grabs a gun and he's like, "I'm so high, nothing can touch
Oh
me."
yeah,
It's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
no, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so stupid.
And then they laugh at the commercial.
Yes, so like that's kind of like the vibe I get from the Empire sometimes. They're like, "Nothing can touch me. I'm in power." And there's
But
the
it's
one person
also
that's
like with the way Lucas was telling the story, obviously it's for kids and you want to see the good guys. It's always like a classic thing to see the good guys outsmart the bad guys. So you need to have that in play. You can obviously you're going to show your good guys in moments of weakness or mistakes, and that's littered all over all of Star Wars. So they have their
Yeah.
moments too, for sure, because
Mhm,
you don't want the flawless hero either.
mhm,
But like when I was talking about Indiana Jones before and how just goofy and stupid he made the Nazis, and I thought that was so great because that's a classic type of adventure swashbuckling storytelling. But at the same time, like Star Wars too, you need them to be the fall guy for the story in order for the heroes to look great.
mhm,
So and it's like in pro wrestling too, when they say like the guy who like usually like loses, sometimes those are the best wrestlers because they sell the moves the best. And it's like in Star Wars, they're selling how great our good guys are by how stupid the Empire looks. And
mhm,
I mean, from specifics to generalities, I think it's pretty clear that the original trilogy is loaded with it. So we're picking
mhm,
on the Empire here. But like you brought up before, it goes on in all of the Star Wars. Like in the prequels too, it wasn't the Empire, but from the very beginning of the prequels, seeing like the Viceroy and like some of the choices the Trade Federation was making, Darth Maul, slipping up. There's a lot of moments, even pre-Empire and post-Empire. You brought up, Hux and Pride, and the one guy who maybe was too stubborn, but I didn't think was an idiot was Captain Kennedy, but he was only on screen for like 5 minutes in The Last Jedi, and he was sort of like to me like your voice that you were looking for, like that person, like that one voice who's like, no, this is how we should be doing it. He's like, this should
mhm.
have been here 5 bloody minutes ago, and it's like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um,
Megan in
but
the chat did bring up a good one, which is, quote, "It's an older code, but it still checks out." And she said, "That's not how security works, dude."
yes, and I believe that was Piet, and Vader knew though, like Vader sensed that it was Fugazi, but he's like,
Mhm.
lead them to me. He
Well,
knows like
'cause yeah,
Luke's
Luke
on
was
there.
there. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but you're right, because if Vader was on Sullust or wherever Palpatine wanted him to go,
Mhm.
uh, Piet would have been like, it's an older code, but let him through. It's approved. What can I do?
Checks out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
great call,
what?
Meg. Yeah, bring him more in the chat because I'm trying to think of more as we go here because there's tons of examples, and that is such a good one. So thank you, Megan, for that. No doubt. So
Yeah.
yeah, like Nita, Piet. I would even say Jar Jar at the beginning of Return of the Jedi, like the lead
Tom brought that
administrator.
up.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
he said, "I need more men. Your resume said you were a capable foreman." Throat hug.
yeah, like, and then he's like, "The Emperor's coming here. We shall double our efforts." I'm like, don't tell me this guy doesn't know what Vader does to these fools when they mess up. So you like, it's like people in the real world, like we know, don't complain to your boss, especially in these corporate times we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Do not complain to Darth Vader that you need more men. Like, what are you doing, man? I'm surprised Vader didn't choke him out at that moment.
You never escalate to Darth Vader.
Because
You keep
then
that to
he has that
yourself.
great line, which like just completely props up Palpatine in such a great way without him even being on screen yet, which
Mhm.
is the Emperor is not as forgiving as I am. And it's like, oh, because
Oh, no.
this dude
Yeah.
kills people for flying too close to a planet. And if the Emperor is less forgiving than that, you better finish that Death Star immediately. I don't care who you
Mhm.
have to hire. Get some Gungans, throw a tool belt on them, get them up there, swinging the hammer. I don't care. Finish that Death Star. But yeah, Jar Jar. So all those guys who pretty much look the same from Empire and Return of the Jedi and like the British white officers from A New Hope, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, Michael Culver, all those guys, all those actors.
Yeah, we do have a super chat that relates to this, which is from Freezy2324. Of course, it wouldn't be a show without you, Freezy. Thank you so much. He said, like Luke Skywalker said to the Emperor, quote, "Your overconfidence is your weakness," end quote. The Empire thought they were untouchable. I agree. I think that's a big piece of this.
Yeah.
Is we jokingly say they're idiots. They are a little bit naive, but overall, it's just like, hey, we're untouchable.
And I
Nobody
think that
can
goes hand in
get
hand. Like the
yeah.
arrogance, I think, leads to idiotic decisions because
Mhm.
when you don't sense uh vulnerability in yourself,
Yeah.
you start slipping and you start being careless, and the Empire definitely
You
felt
get
like,
lazy. Yeah.
yeah, we can squash these guys. I can't believe they got lucky and they blew up the Death Star, but we're the Empire, and like you
Mhm.
see it
Mhm.
from The Empire Strikes Back, like how much fortitude they still had behind them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it does go hand in hand for sure, and I think the isolated moments of each of these people in the Empire is where you see like the individual uh stupidity, but the overarching view of the Empire is those guys are in place because of arrogance, because like they didn't feel like every single section or tier of their government needed to have all these brilliant minds in place.
Yeah, totally. Frank brings up another one too about the scout trooper on Endor after Luke crashed his bike. The trooper, instead of fleeing and warning the bunker, goes straight and attacks a Jedi. Not very smart.
Not very smart. Brave, maybe too married to the cause. Like he's one of
Mm.
those like Empire or die guys. But yeah.
And then Bill Burr's like, "Get me out of here."
Yeah, with this helicopter. No, yeah, no doubt about it. Now I don't know if there were any more in the chats, but I know we do have. Do we have any super chats not pertaining
We
to Ask the Resistance?
I don't think we have any specific about this than the one I just read.
Hmm.
Everything else is kind of just like more of a casual either statement or question for Ask the Resistance, which we're reminding you now, if you have any questions for Ask the Resistance, please send them in the chat with hashtag Ask the Resistance so you can get a little shout out on the show and we can keep the conversation going about Star Wars. Obviously, that's the point of the show.
Yeah. I don't think I know you were jokingly saying like Darth Vader has some idiot moments. I think Darth Vader sometimes gets like what led him to the dark side, where you just get like blinded by your obsession with things. You know, he was so obsessed with
Rage,
Luke
yeah.
Skywalker
Yeah.
that maybe other things he could have been doing to keep things going right slipped a bit. And that's why we see him, like you said before, like all of a sudden he's out there saying like there will be a substantial reward for the one who finds the Millennium Falcon. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
Vader, what are you doing, man?
He's just being Anakin. That was Anakin's fault, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't go away once you turn to a bad guy.
Now here's a guy we haven't talked about yet. And I don't know if I can call him an idiot, but what about Orson Krennic? Where is he on the idiot
Star Wars
scale?
Steve brought it up. He said it was dumb to go to Scarif. I would agree with that. I think the moment he went to Scarif, he went from being super smart and malicious and like really conniving crazy to overly emotional to the point that he was making stupid decisions. Like the moment that he lost control of his project and was like, I am the person. And he goes to Vader and is like, hey Vader, I have an issue. And Vader's like, why are you in my house?
That was stupid.
Yeah. And then he gets choked. Which
Yeah.
again, why are people not getting this memo that like if you bother Vader, he's gonna choke you? Like I don't
Especially he goes to the
understand.
guy's house.
Yeah,
He does a drop in, or did Vader call for him? But either way, Vader's
did.
taking
He
his
just showed
steam.
up. He just
He's
said,
taking
hey,
his
I'm having
steam
an
bath.
issue. Yeah.
He's taking his steam bath, and he's like, Krennic's here. He's got to put his like robe on, changing all his stuff, and then he's like talks to Krennic for like 2 minutes, and then chokes him out. He's like, ah. I bet if Vader, once those doors closed and his steam dissipated, and Krennic's on the ground, Vader's probably like, idiot.
Yeah. It just really the Krennic going to Vader felt like, Mom, so and so's not letting me run the Death Star. Like, Dad, help me. Like, that's what that scene felt like to me.
Except
Which
it
is,
was his stepdad who beats him and doesn't like him.
ooh, that's harsh. But yeah, kinda.
I mean, he choked him.
He did. He did choke him.
Like,
It's
let's
just
remind
stupid. Like,
ourselves.
why would you go to the guy with a mask and force powers?
Yeah.
Not the best. I don't know what he expected. Like, it's not like him and Vader were besties. Like, he's like, hey, fam, just dropping by to, like, get some tips. Like, what do you think I should do?
Oh,
You know?
I got the biggest idiot in all of Star Wars. I just thought of it.
Okay, go ahead.
The guy who fell for Han Solo's Major look.
Is the guy in Return of the Jedi?
When he taps
he's
him on the
like,
shoulder.
Again, stupid. That is genuinely stupid.
Han Solo's like in the thick of battle, the most important war in the history of the galaxy. And he's like, Han's like, what do I do here? He's like, oh, I this worked when I was 8 on the streets of Corellia. And he runs up to the guy and taps him on the shoulder, and the guy falls for it. Han's probably like,
Idiot.
we got this, dude. We got this.
So dumb. Yeah.
Freeze,
I don't
you
think I
rebel
can top
scum.
that. That's probably the dumbest thing. That's
The
like
Major look.
oh man, like
Yeah.
how do I come back from this? I just ruined the whole war.
Yeah. I don't think there's coming back from that. Yeah. I don't know if there's any more in the chats, but I may have to cap myself there because
I don't think I can get dumber than that. I think that wins. That is the idiot. The dun, 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 dun. The winner of the Idiot of the Empire Award goes to Major
I
Look
wonder-
Guy.
there has to be a name for that character at this point because they name everybody. So I'm gonna try to
Yeah,
look
they
up
really
who
do.
did Han tap
What if
on
you
the
look this
shoulder
up right
in
now?
Return- Yeah, I'm looking it up.
What if you did it like Wikipedia and it just said John Hoey?
So I'm in Star Wars after all. So good thing I picked Solo 2 earlier.
What
and
would
one
you
was-
do if it was just like this character was named John Hoey in 2024 by Pablo Hidalgo?
It'd be funny if, like, I don't know what rankings stormtroopers have, but he taps the trooper on the shoulder. It'd be funny if his name was Major Look, like Major Look.
Ah, see, that's clever. I was just kind of poking fun at you that like, what would you do if it was named after you?
Because I'm an idiot. Yeah, I get it. But only
no,
a
just because it would be so silly to be like, who is this idiot character? And then you're like, wait a second.
But only a
Wait,
true
what?
idiot can recognize another true idiot. So
I don't think you're an idiot. If anybody's
thank-
being named after an idiot, it's me. If we're being honest here.
how about
If we're being
we'll just
honest with
say
ourselves.
neither of us are idiots. We'll just say that. We'll call it even.
Sure.
All right. I know we have another segment to get to.
We do. We
but
definitely do.
I hope everyone had fun with us roasting the Empire for about 25 or 30 minutes or so here. And we probably scratched the surface. I know we hit on a lot of the big moments. I I didn't want to dig too much into Rebels because I feel like I said before, Rebels you can pick every episode because they take the already existing stupidity of the Empire and just add the cartoon element of it in a
Yeah.
Bugs Bunny way, especially in
It's
the
like,
early
whoa,
seasons.
whoa.
Yeah, like the first season of Rebels, when Ezra's doing like really Aladdin type stuff early on, and it just seems like the Empire is extra stupid because it's in a cartoon or an animated show. I know people get upset when you say the word cartoon. I always grew up calling them cartoons, but yeah. So there's a ton, and we'll probably explore it more in the future. Maybe we even whittle it down to a Kessel Run one day, but we do have to move on to another one of our segments right now because we have some questions to get to from you, and thank you for those in Ask the Resistance.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
Young Anakin, not an idiot.
No, very smart.
Yes, he was a smart little boy. That sweet child. All right, let's get to our questions here. We're going to go with the first one from Nerdy Seb.
Well, why don't we do the super chats first?
Yeah, we are supposed to do that. My apologies. Go ahead.
It's all good. First up, we have Ben Davis. What up, man? Thanks for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Love your picture. You look so
Thanks,
epic.
Ben.
Love the show, guys. Rey and Ben's relationship is my favorite in Star Wars. Hope we get more one day. I would love more, Ben. Are you saying that because your name is also Ben? Because that's awesome. But I agree with you. I think it's a great relationship. The top relationships for me are like Han and Leia, Han and Kira, and Rey and Ben. And I feel like for me, Rey and Ben's relationship was built to a good point in The Last Jedi, and then we didn't see it really do anything in the last movie. Especially because all we got was the moment where he runs in, fights with her, and then dies. So I would have loved to see them on more adventures together. I would have loved to see them fighting more together. And the hope is maybe one day they will. Who knows? They might do it. Disney loves bringing people back. Lucasfilm definitely loves bringing people back. What are your thoughts, John?
I don't know because Rey, like you said, didn't really spend any time with Ben Solo. What if it turns out she doesn't really like Ben Solo very much?
Yeah. I mean, that could be an option. I think they were saying that she did kind of like him a bit. From the kissing to the I would have taken Ben's hand. I wanted Ben's hand. The fact that she connected with him a lot in the second movie, enough to put herself in danger to go to the First Order.
But that wasn't Ben. That was Kylo Ren.
But she went to get Ben. She was very specific to Luke that she's like, I'm going to go save Ben. He's our final hope.
Who she didn't know. So she had this idea
That's
of
fair.
Ben Solo in her mind.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But and I'm just having fun with it. But it would be if someone told me that Adam Driver was making the movie 65 Part 2 and that came out and that also tanked, I'd be like, this guy's coming back to Star Wars. He's like 65 Megalopolis. Like, I know he's making like he worked
But
with
he's not bad in these movies, though.
No,
That's the
I'm
thing,
not
the
saying that.
movies aren't great,
It's
but
choices.
his acting is amazing. And that's what's so depressing for me as one of
Yeah.
his fans, to be like, you're so talented, and why do you keep picking movies like this?
Yeah, and I think he likes because whenever he talks about it, he likes doing things that are a bit different, and I understand that.
Yeah.
And he's been in really good movies too, like Black Klansman.
Yeah, I loved that.
The one with the NASCAR heist, Logan Lucky. He was really good in that.
Oh, yeah, he was good in that.
I didn't see it, but the one where is he with Bill Murray and it's like a zombie movie where they're cops or something like that?
He drives a Mini Cooper or something.
Yeah, so
Or a
like
car. Yeah.
yeah, so he's done like good movies. I'm not saying he hasn't, but I don't think, from my perspective, I thought he was gonna like become a superstar on
So did
all
I.
facets, not just acclaimed performances. But I thought he was gonna be like a box office guy and that sort of thing. Hasn't really come true, so I don't know where he's at. But if, long story short, if they came back and said, you know, Adam Driver's returning to Star Wars in the next Rey movie, I think that gets a lot of eyes and attention from people as to what that means.
Yeah.
And I would be interested. And I wasn't, me, I wasn't like a Raylo person or anything like that. I think that would be interesting to see what they were able to do with that without going too far, because people were pissed about Palpatine coming back and he had reasons why he did.
Yeah.
If you start reincarnating Jedi, then it's like, well, how come Yoda didn't come back? How come Qui-Gon didn't come back? How come Luke didn't come back?
Yeah.
So, or Anakin, of course. So it'll be interesting. I don't think he will, but the idea is at least interesting.
I was a Raylo person, so Rise of Skywalker was very depressing for me. So Ben, I am there with you.
Yeah.
And I would love to see more.
And thank you, Ben. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next is Nikki. What up, Nikki? How's it going, girl? She said, just want to say thank you for all the support. It meant a lot to me, and we're doing okay. The force is strong with this household. I'm so happy you're okay, Nikki. Nikki was in Florida, so we're happy to see that.
Big tree on the house. Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
I'm glad everyone's okay, and hopefully things are on the mend, but it's always good to hear from you. So thank you very much, Nikki. And cheers. It looks like you got some blue milk in your profile picture, so cheers to you.
I do like the blue milk. The blue milk's very good. And then last but not least, with the super chats at least, is David Ford. What up, man? He said, at Saints Broncos game, Grow Saints, who dat? Is that grow?
Maybe it's Cajun for Go Saints. I don't know. But I heard Drew Brees was going to do some 10-step chant at halftime today. It sounded very complex. But my Yankees lost today. So
I have seen that in the chat. People were blowing up about the Yankees.
Don't think I didn't know, folks. I'm just a pro. I am dying inside, but they're still up 2-1. They're still up 2-1. We're gonna come back tomorrow and win, so everything will be okay.
I'm dying inside. David, thank you so much. Hope you're enjoying the game. All right, let's get to a new question.
All right, let's do Nerdy Seb. And what do we got?
Are you gonna ask it, or do you want me to? Okay, I'll go. Nerdy Seb, what up? Says, in Skeleton Crew, do you think they should have cameos or just keep it self-centered? I'm fine either or, but we need to have that boy Hondo. John,
what do you think, Lacey?
No, you start. Go ahead.
I think from and this is jaded, but from a viewership Disney standpoint, it's in that timeline. It would not shock me, and you've said this before, and I still don't. I hope it doesn't happen that Mando and Grogu show up in this.
Yep.
That's why I wanted you to go first. Do you want to expand on that? Is that your pick?
I've said it before. I think all these shows, because they're all connected with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni's kind of Mandoverse, they're in the same time frame. Disney's always trying to tie everything together and make you go like, oh yeah, all right. And they're looking for those moments online that everybody freaks out when certain characters show up, or, oh my God, did you see this? That then make people tune in. I think, as we've seen with other series, the moment Mando shows up, people go nuts. And look, I'm one of them. So I think easily Mando could show up in this. Either in the background, he could show up, at the end to bring it into whatever series is next.
Yeah.
Tie it into the movie if they want to bring these characters into the movie with Mandalorian and Grogu. I think it's an easy cameo.
It depends on what it is and that sort of thing. But I could see you being right on that one. As far as other cameos, I'm not sure. Like,
do you think about Hondo?
I don't know. Everyone keeps wanting Hondo to show up.
They do.
And like when I was at Galaxy's Edge and we were on Rise of the Resistance, and like I think my whole family was in there. I think it was just me, my mom, and Daisy actually, because Johnny was too scared to go on it the second time. Daisy's like fearless. Second child always fearless. So get ready for Arch to be, doing flips around your house. But
he's already doing it. He's already climbing over stuff, almost jumping off the couch.
Oh, really?
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. But Daisy thought Hondo was real, the animatronic. And even my mom was like, wow, they do a really good job with these now. And I know people would probably want like a person, but maybe something like the pirate Kale Organa guy, like you do like the blend, right? Because isn't there some CG with those puppets, or am I wrong on that? I thought there was a little
with
bit.
Who?
But like the salad pirate guy, Gory and
yes.
Shard. Yeah,
Yes. So I guess the mask, I thought it was CG. It is a puppet.
fully
Or like the end is is CG and then the face itself is a puppet. Yeah.
like Pirates of the Caribbean, sort of. But I could see Hondo like showing up or something like that. But people, anytime there's a new story that takes place when Hondo's alive, that's one of the bigger requests I see from fans is like, oh, Hondo, get Hondo, get Hondo. So I guess maybe he will show up. Filoni would be a good person to do that. But I don't know if Skeleton Crew is going to be the spot. But I do hope Hondo shows up because I think people will go a big pocket of fans will be happy about it.
Yeah, some people in the comments are chatting about it. Matt Lawless, what up, Matt? It says Ahsoka and Sabine get rescued, maybe. This is hilarious because Children of the Watch, in their new episode where we were talking about Return of the Jedi, we got into some speculation about Skeleton Crew and Mando and Grogu moving forward. They're pitching their idea of that the Skeleton Crew kids or the ship goes and picks up Ahsoka and Sabine from this planet. And like that's the connection. And I remember they said it and they had said it to us previously and then they brought it up again in the episode last night and I remember both of us were like, "Oh my god, we didn't even consider I didn't consider that at all." But I think it just shows that first of all, this is the best time to be a Star Wars fan before a show comes out because you get to speculate like crazy and like figure out where things are going to go even though you're totally wrong. I'm always wrong. 2, it's always there's always a question of how does this tie together, especially with these shows within the Mandoverse. But yeah, some good thoughts here. Yeah. Some people are also saying, Nick saying in the chat that he would love Maz to show up. I'd love for Maz to show up too. I want more of her bar castle. And I think that they missed a huge opportunity in Galaxy's Edge not having Maz's castle there as like a restaurant.
Have any of the TV shows had full CG characters? Yeah.
Full CG? Isn't Zeb full CG?
I didn't think so. Is he?
I think he is. But I don't know. They haven't gone. I thought they were going to go behind the scenes with that, and they haven't.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get more of that because he's clearly going to be in The Mandalorian and Grogu.
Yeah.
Because Maz, like, I think Maz was CG, but in The Rise of Skywalker, she was a puppet. She was
definitely a puppet in Rise of Skywalker because they show her with everybody, which is really cool.
Because I know the CG stuff gets really expensive, and with the TV budgets, I don't know if they're gonna go with a full CG character.
I'll take puppet over person or CG anytime. Give me puppet.
For Maz,
yeah. No, just anything. I just want puppets and practical stuff. I think CG. I don't mind going back over footage and like adding things to make it more like legit or realistic. I get that. But to me, the puppet and practical stuff always looks better. And it always stands the test of time. That's why you can go back and watch Jurassic Park and still be like, wow, this is sick. Because they actually built dinosaurs and stuff. We do have a super chat from Sneaky Zebra. What up, Gary? Thanks so much. He said, thanks for brightening my drive home in LA traffic. You're in traffic, but thanks for joining us and being with us.
Hopefully you're not in a lot of traffic, but hopefully it's slow traffic if you're watching us on YouTube while driving, Gary. Unless Gary's got a Tesla and he's just like
listening.
He's reclined back on auto drive and he's just watching it. But thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Gary's awesome. Sneaky Zebra.
All right. Do we want to get to one more question?
Let's do at least one more.
Do you want to do Frank?
Let's do Frank.
Frank asks, what up, Frank? You've been in the chat a little bit tonight. He said, if TRB were to have a cameo in a Star Wars movie or show, what would you like it to be, John?
I would want to be the body double for Jacked Fish.
You're always talking about body doubles. And someone posted a cameo from, what's that guy's from? Whose line is it anyway? Colin...
Mockery.
And he said he was the body double for Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool. And I was like, oh my God, this joke. I just like,
That's why he stole my bit.
I can't get away from this joke. And he's like, yeah, Ryan never talks about it.
Guess what, Colin Mockery? You know whose line it is anyway? Mine.
No, but seriously, John, who would you want to be not a body double, obviously. Like in a Star Wars movie, who would you want to be?
If I were to cameo in a Star Wars movie or show, what would you like it to be? Stormtrooper. Give me a stormtrooper who gets absolutely smoked by somebody, and I'm fine. Yeah.
I really want some moment, and I don't know what that moment would be, where I help the good guys get away or I help the good guys somehow, and the camera would do a slow push on me, and I just kind of look at like that's what I want.
Oh,
That's what I want.
I would leave. I'm out. No, we're not doing a slow push on Gilly in Star Wars. I'm not. I can't do it.
Oh my god.
Would you be an
Could you
alien at
imagine?
least or something?
I don't know, but could you imagine like me being in a cantina and the slow push on me and I just like cheers the camera?
Like, but you're like Claude. So you're in this big giant like your dream come true. You're in a giant puppet. You are a puppet.
I would take the puppet. I've never been more jealous than when they did that like creature thing and they put people in the creature outfits.
Oh, I know. That was so cool.
But then those people were like really skinny and really fit, and I was like, oh, I probably wouldn't have fit in this thing.
Will you stop it? Jeez.
I'm a little top heavy, so it's really hard for me to get into puppets and stuff.
I'm top
Like
heavy
the girl that went in it was like super fit. So
Mm.
like they were fitting her in this like rubber suit. I was like, oh my God, I could never fit into that.
I have a big head.
Do you?
I think so.
I think I have like an average shaped sized head.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I think that would be so funny. Like they're like, where did the good guys go? And it just like cuts to me and I'm like, I don't know.
But yeah, I mean that's cool. I just don't want.
It's so dumb as I'm
You want to
saying
be like
it.
but you kind of like you're low key saying you want to be like an impact in the story, pretty much.
I think it would be super cool to have a dumb moment that makes a big impact. I want the turnaround moment.
See, I'm like,
What?
I want to be a stormtrooper that just gets smoked by somebody, and Lacey's like, I want to save the rebellion in 3 seconds, and I want everyone at home to know it. Like Roy Scheider seeing the boy get eaten on the beach in Jaws.
I just said I wanted to be like the stormtrooper that turns around.
No, but you want the stormtrooper to like do something that changes the course of history.
I want a moment where John Williams has to write some type of crescending moment that, you know, like that's what I want. So I could be like, this 3-second bit is me in the music. That's what I want. The music.
I want to give a quick shout out to James Richter, who asked the same question as someone did before, but we have to give a shout out to him for sending it. He had asked if Hondo. Yeah, he asked if Hondo will appear in Skeleton Crew. Thank you, James. Appreciate that.
But James, will I appear in Skeleton Crew? I won't.
All right. God, can the show end any sooner? Matt Lawless, let's finish it with Matt.
Okay. He says, Matt, what up? He says, when do you think the Skeleton Crew press will ramp up, or will there be a different strategy for after Acolyte?
I don't know when it will ramp up.
I think it's already kind of starting. I didn't mean to cut you off, John. I think it's already kind of starting. Star Wars has been sharing clips of the cast of Skeleton Crew answering questions on some type of set with like social questions and social tweets and stuff. I'm trying to think on the schedule. So they're December 3rd. So they're going to want to start probably November 3rd, like a month out.
Yeah.
Which is only a couple weeks away. They're probably waiting till after Halloween, to be honest, to get started.
And I'll be honest, I don't watch cable. I don't have cable, but I watch some TV through, YouTube TV or whatever.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any advertisements for Skeleton Crew whatsoever
I've seen merch.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I bet if I asked my brother right now, like, do you know about Skeleton Crew? He'd be like, no. And he's a casual Star Wars fan. So they got to reach these people, especially people with kids, because my brother might sit his daughter down and watch this show. So I hope they reach the masses with the marketing of this, and put commercials for this on YouTube where kids are watching whoever, Masha and the Bear, or wherever you can, just get kids to dial into this show. because they're ultimately the ones that are going to want to ask for the toys for Christmas. They're ultimately going to be the ones that say like, no, I like this show and now I'm a Star Wars fan. Like this show can achieve a lot with introducing new young fans to Star Wars. And I said it on Children of the Watch today. It came out today. But I think what I'm going to do with Skeleton Crew is my son is 6 now. And yeah, he's seen a few Star Wars movies, but I'm going to let him stay up and watch Skeleton Crew with me on Tuesday nights and see, and not force it on him, but see if it captures him more than, oh, dad's letting me stay up, so I'm going to watch this whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, Matt. I think Lacey's on point. Like they usually wait till about a month or so.
I just think they don't want to get mixed up with Halloween, so they might wait till after, but I might be wrong and they might kick it off that week of Halloween.
Yeah, because we're 6 weeks away.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty
And
nuts.
they usually do about 6 to 8 weeks out is usually what they do.
Yeah. All right.
Mm.
Thank you, Matt.
Which, speaking of which, make sure to get ready because
That's
Galactic Goonies is coming. Our after show dedicated to Skeleton Crew. December 3rd. Well, yes.
December 4th.
December 4th. Why did we say 4th that way?
I always say, so me and my brother, because the way my dad says certain words, because we're from New York originally, anytime he says 4, it's 4.
Yeah. I'm really pumped about this show. I couldn't be more excited. I know you were just talking about being on Children of the Watch, but I also said this on there. I've said it on here. When I was watching The Acolyte and or building up for The Acolyte, I said I was most excited for the stunt work and the lightsaber fights. And I think those delivered. I stand by that. That was like incredible. With Skeleton Crew, I want all the puppets, creatures, droids, aliens. Give them all to me. That's what I want. I want something crazy, fantastical, something a kid would think up. Like that's what I want. I want basically Labyrinth with Star Wars. And then what they're also saying is that it's like Stranger Things with Goonies or whatever. I want all of that, but just please give me practical puppets and creatures and animals and stuff that I can be excited about.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot of that. I think there's going to be a lot of things to look at in that show.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right. So thank you everybody for submitting those questions. It always helps make the show a good time. So we appreciate those very, very much. And keep thinking of them and keep them coming because we're going to do Ask Resistance a lot, of course, especially as Skeleton Crew starts ramping up and we start really firing up Speculation Nation over here. We'll take our big, bold predictions, I'm sure, in a few weeks. But thank you to everybody for listening and watching and being part of TRB. It means a great deal to us. Make sure, like we said before, you're subscribed to our show. And also Nerdy and Nice, our pop culture podcast. It's the same flavor as TRB, just all the other stuff besides Star Wars that we love talking about. I'm getting hyped on DC. We're talking Penguin. We're talking British Bake Off. We're talking reality TV. We're talking a lot of fun, nerdy stuff that we all like to get into, and more. So Nerdy Nice is on its own feed. Please support us there. Please listen. If you know people who love movies and TV, I think it's a good time. So check it out. We're going to be talking about The Rock and J.J. Abrams on Monday on Nerdy and Nice. So stay tuned for that. But for us here on the Resistance broadcast, a big shout out to the movie star generals and the silver screen Spice Runners. The generals Carmelo, John Reese, Jetta Rosewater, Frank Grande, Nick Kratz, Chris Morales, Brian Smith, Danny, Mike Ramori, Brendan McLaughlin, Sneaky Zebra, Dave Hornack, Jolton Jedi DiMaggio, Colin Cormier, Stephen Garrow, and Sachi. And the silver screen Spice Runners, David Probus, Neil Shaw, Kendall Gellner, Andrew Staley, Jeremy Myers, and the Fort Worthian, and all of our supporters on Patreon. We are working really hard behind the scenes for the future of TRB. We're very excited, a little stressed, but your support allows us to do that and is a huge lift to us. So thank you all so much. Lacey, where can people find you?
People can find me on social media at Lacey Gillerin on all the channels and at It's Lacey Gillerin on TikTok, as well as here and Nerdy and Nice. And as usual, I'm going to ask that if you have time, please leave us a review, share an episode, leave a comment, let us know how we're doing, and share us with a friend.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, Johnny Hoey, X and Blue Sky, and my movie podcast, Just Like the Movies. We're doing Casino Royale next week. So that's it for us. We'll be back with you next week with another episode of TRB. We hope you had fun on this episode. We hope you think more about how stupid the Empire was from an individual perspective and a collective. And more importantly, we hope you have a wonderful weekend, and go Yankees. And we'll see you next time right here on the Resistance broadcast. See you around, kids.